It is now being reported that Russia has fired an intercontinental ballistic missile into Ukraine, an ICBM. This particular device was called a MIRV, Multiple Independently Targeting Re-Entry Vehicle, and it's designed to deliver nuclear payloads. Now, the strike, as it's being reported right now, does not appear to be a nuclear strike, but this would be the first time in history an ICBM has been used in war. The missile struck the city of Dnipro in Ukraine and is a dramatic escalation of the conflict, which may be bubbling up into a more serious international crisis, more so than it already is. We are currently in a cycle of escalation with news of 2 deep-sea internet cables being severed. Now, the initial reporting was maybe it was a ship dragging anchor, but now we are hearing that a Chinese vessel has been detained, and they believe this may have been a direct act of sabotage. Severing communications is typically the first move made in modern warfare to prevent the enemy forces from being able to communicate effectively. Now, there's many means of communication through satellite. I don't know that undersea cables severing them will inhibit the majority of communications, but it certainly will inhibit. I got to say, the use of an ICBM, and there's video, we'll play these videos for you, it's shocking. Look, my friends, I've been saying this for some time now. I believe Russia will use nuclear weapons. And understand that does not mean intercontinental ballistic missiles. I'm talking about nuclear artillery on the battlefield. But with the escalation we're seeing now, I fear it may be more serious than that. Russia has lowered the threshold for the use of nuclear weapons, which is effectively saber rattling. Vladimir Putin doesn't need to issue a declaration announcing, yeah, we're going to make it easier to fire nukes. He could literally just fire nukes if he wants to. But the Russian nuclear doctrine being revised was a signal to the West. If Ukraine uses U.S. long-range missiles, we will escalate. And Ukraine did. Biden authorized it. Now, my fear, as I have been stating now for several months, is that U.S. deep state intelligence machine state, whatever you want to call it, they would be pushing for an escalation of war to prevent Donald Trump from being able to stop it once he gets in office. Now, last night, Milo Yiannopoulos joined us on Timcast IRL, and he said he doesn't think this escalates much beyond this because they all fear Trump. He's the madman. It's the madman doctrine. Donald Trump may be crazy enough to fire a nuke. But with this ICBM, I wonder, is Vladimir Putin sending a signal to the world that he's much crazier, or at the very least, much more desperate? Yo, I got to say, these videos, man, I'm without words. The first time in history we have seen something like this. And now The Hill is reporting World War III is Trump's to lose. My friends, let's jump into this video. But before we do, head over to preservegold.com/TimPool. You've heard me say it before. I'll say it again. When it comes to physical gold and precious metals, we love Preserve Gold. Our friends at Preserve Gold have an exclusive offer for my viewers right now where you can get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase as well as a free guide. So go check them out on X. Their handle is Preserve Gold. Preserve Gold has hundreds of 5-star reviews and millions of dollars in trusted transactions with happy clients. Again, head over to their X, check them out, or text Tim to 50505. And I just want to stress this right now. I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do in situations like this. I hope I can say right now that this is the end of the escalation, that this is a signal to the world we need negotiations to end this, and that within 2 months, Donald Trump may bring about the end of this conflict. But with the Chinese vessel detainment potentially implicating Chinese involvement in this growing conflict, we could be looking at World War III. Call it whatever you want. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, please. Convince me so I can go back to playing video games. Not being worried about whether or not we're going to see resource depletion, hyperinflation, conscription. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm just wrong about everything. I'd like to be. But I see an escalation like this and I'm just like, I was worried about something like this happening. The first use of an ICBM is shocking. It's not a nuke. We also have safeandreadymeals.com. I don't typically shout out emergency prep food. Again, maybe I'm just a crazy person who reads the news too much. Or maybe the reality is that we are escalating into an international conflict that will wreak havoc across this planet. You decide for yourself what you think you need. Safe and ready meals, 25-year shelf life. You put them in your closet, you forget about them. You pick them up. Do what you got to do. Let me show you these videos first. Now, some of these videos are intense and insane. Let me play this one for you right here.
Завод. Еще. Еще.
Jeez. This is horrifying. Now, I will stress, I don't have these videos confirmed. These are just being posted all across the internet. Some of them look very different. So I don't know for sure. The date appears to be, this date appears to be, is that date wrong? No, it looks like it. Oh, that date is correct. The date is correct. And it looks like it's the wee hours of the morning. And it's being reported the first time in human history that ICBMs have been used in war. A.J. Huber says we are closer to World War III. Putin is open to discussing a ceasefire with Ukraine if negotiations were led by President Trump. We need Trump back ASAP. Here's a story from Reuters. Russia fired an intercontinental ballistic missile during an attack on a Ukrainian city of Dnipro on Thursday, Kiev's Air Force said, in what will be the first use in war of a weapon designed to deliver long-distance nuclear strikes. The launch, if confirmed, highlights rapidly rising tensions in the 33-month-old war. They say after Ukraine fired U.S. and British missiles at targets inside Russia. Security experts said it would be the first use of an ICBM. ICBMs are strategic weapons designed to deliver nuclear warheads and are an important part of Russia's nuclear deterrent. Quote, today there was a new Russian missile, all the characteristics, speed, altitude of an ICBM. An expert investigation is currently underway. The Ukrainian Air Force said the missile was fired from the Russian region of Astrakhan, more than 700 kilometers from Dnipro in central east Ukraine. It did not specify what kind of warhead the missile had or what type of missile it was. There was no suggestion it was nuclear armed. What if it was? I hope it wasn't. Doesn't matter. And this is where the distinction, I think, becomes immaterial. This is the ICBM strike. If Putin decided to use some low-yield nuclear weapons, would we care? The devastation is there. The long-range, the intercontinental ballistic missile strike has happened. We're in it, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just going to be a flash in the pan overnight. It is a gradual escalation with no one backing down. I don't know, man. They say Ukrainska Pravda, a Kiev-based media outlet, cited anonymous sources saying the missile was an RS-26 Rubis, a solid-fueled intercontinental ballistic missile with a range of 1,500 kilometers, according to Arms Control Association. It's classified as an ICBM. We get it's an ICBM, guys. The Russian missile attack targeted enterprise and critical infrastructure in the central eastern city of Dnipro. Ukraine's Air Force did not say what the ICBM targeted or whether it caused any damage, but Regional Governor Serhiy Lysak said the missile attack damaged an industrial enterprise and set off fires in Dnipro. Now, I want to stress this. In this, the videos seem to be different, okay? So in this video where you hear this, I don't think this video is correct. Because it appears to be very different from what we expect from a MIRV, right? So it could be. It may just be ground level. But if you take a look at this video, you can see a barrage happening rapidly of strikes in the distance. Now, I don't know which one's real. I don't know if any of them are real. The reporting is there. Images of damage. We don't know. The image in the Reuters, the image from Reuters says firefighters work at the site of Russian missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine, November 21st. This is a current photo. So it's hard to know how these missiles caused this degree of damage. You'd think it may be more. There's a building standing next to it. I have no idea. Maybe it's fake news. Maybe they're lying to us. I don't know. Now, to understand the context here, I want to give you some breakdown on what a MIRV is. It's an exo-atmospheric ballistic missile payload containing several warheads, each capable of being aimed at a different target. The concept is almost invariably associated with intercontinental ballistic missiles carrying thermonuclear warheads, even if not being strictly limited to them. An intermediate case is the multiple reentry vehicle MRV, which carries several warheads. Now, the general description, you can see this image, is that it's fired up into the into the atmosphere. I'm not sure which area of the atmosphere. And then the payload is detached, breaks apart, and each warhead strikes a different target. One of these can carry between 8 and 12 nuclear warheads. I think it's important for you guys to understand the current power of known nuclear weapons is about 1,250 times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. People don't really understand what this means because we have not seen them used in war. Now, they said it was an RS-26, which is it carries 4 warheads, they say. The RS-26 Rubez, should this be the case, designated by NATO as SSX-31, Russian solid fuel, etc. They say it's based off this 24. The development process is largely comparable to that of others, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what do we have here? 36,000 kilograms with 4 warheads, each 150 to 300 kiloton MIRV. Makes sense. So this doesn't appear to be nuclear. I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters if we're looking at a nuclear strike. It's an ICBM strike. We are entering this territory. Will there be retaliation? Honestly, I have no idea. Here we go from the Daily Mail. Europe prepares for World War III. Now, Germany reveals plans to mobilize national defense and 800,000 NATO troops after Kremlin nuke threat. As U.S. announces new weapon Kiev can use to stop Russia after allowing long-range missile strikes. So they're going to be using anti-personnel mines. The escalation is happening rapidly. And I will stress, we have already seen now from several Baltic countries, they've been issuing warnings to their citizenry about the need to prepare for war and what that means. So I'll tell you this. Look, I'm not going to tell you what to do because I'm far be it from me, man. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I have emergency food. I have gold. We've got backup water. We've got supplies. We've got weapons. You don't know what you'll need. So I recommend, first and foremost, you have a first aid kit. But I also recommend you don't take advice from me. I'm not a survivalist or anything like that. But if they're telling people in Europe to prepare for conflict, I will just say I'm not convinced as of right now that we will see conflict in the United States. I mean, Europe is a hot zone. It's the Eurasian continent, and there's a lot of conflict there. In the United States, Canada and Mexico ain't going to war with the U.S. anytime soon. And while there is a fear that strikes could come to the United States, I don't know if the U.S. has the capability to intercept long-range nuclear strikes. I imagine many regions of the country absolutely can intercept and destroy them. When you see Iron Dome, for instance, or there's the THAAD, which is aerospace defense. I forgot what it's called, thermal something. We can fire rockets in the air and intercept rockets. So if nukes are detached to come at the United States, I think it's fair to assume the U.S. has surface-to-air interception capabilities. Doesn't mean they got a guarantee, because you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. But we saw this just the other day. Chinese ship suspected of undersea cable sabotage detained in NATO Lake. Now we've got Chinese involvement. And what terrifies me is that it may not even matter if this ship intentionally did it or not. No one cares. Listen, if China was to get involved and sever in undersea cables to disrupt communication between the Baltic states and Eastern European NATO allies, they're not going to show up with laser cutters and frogmen and go underwater and drop bombs. It's subterfuge. It's sabotage. It's going to be a Chinese fishing vessel dragging anchor. Whoopsie daisies. That way they can say, we know what you're talking about. We did nothing wrong. Why? Morale. If China were to go and actively engage in this conflict, the people of China they'll be angry, but it's a fairly authoritarian country. I don't know if it matters. But the sentiment and the morale matter. I don't think they need public support to declare war, but morale matters. You want your people to believe that you are right. So if China were to sabotage communications, doing it this way ensures that now that a Chinese vessel has been detained, China can say to its people, we are not involved in this. We are not a part of their war. Let our people go. Why are you detaining our people? And they'll come out and say, because you sabotage our communications. They'll say, it was an accident. It's a fishing vessel. It's a cargo ship. Don't accuse us. You have no proof. They'll go to their people and say, you see, this is why we do what we do. They're falsely accusing us. So it doesn't matter. China could have done this, but this is the only narrative you would ever get anyway. Newsweek reports a Chinese vessel has been implicated in what has been described as the sabotage of undersea telecom cables in the Baltic Sea, a body of water dubbed the NATO Lake due to its location between alliance members. International concern surrounds the cutting it's the Sea Lion 1 cable, and there's two cables, and the cable connecting Finland and Germany, and the cable connecting Sweden and Lithuania. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius described the incidents as hybrid actions, while Swedish and Lithuanian counterparts said they were deeply concerned. The ship suspected of damaging comms cables in the Baltic Sea has been detained by the Danish Navy. Posted OSINT account on Onsen on Blue Sky, which tracks vessels in the Baltic. The Post said that it was anchored just outside Danish territory with patrol dive Y311 Soloven, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong because I don't know those symbols are pronounced, vessel guarding her. A frigate HDMS Hividbjorn, I can't pronounce your word, sorry guys, might be present too. Quote, the Danish defense can confirm that we are present in the area near the Chinese ship Yipeng 3. The Danish defense currently has no further comments, Denmark's military said in a post on X. Newsweek has contacted the Danish Navy and the Chinese Foreign Ministry for comment. Yeah. Russia's building nuclear bunkers. This I covered, of course, the other day. What are Russia's mobile nuclear bunkers as mass production begins? I want to say, do you think Vladimir Putin, the Russian government, has begun producing nuclear bunkers for economic reasons? No, it's for practical reasons. In the absence of evidence, the solution that makes the least amount of assumptions tends to be correct. Vladimir Putin is gearing up for nuclear war, something this world has never seen and cannot understand. I don't think people get it. About 10 years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, I did a video for Discovery. I think they deleted it, actually. It was a great video on the true power of nuclear weapons. And it's I don't think people understand that the advancements made. And now look, some people, obviously, you'll watch History Channel and we'll cover these things. Some of you read into it, but most people just hear on the surface, the nuclear bombings of Japan in World War II ain't got nothing. But when people think about it, and then they think about nuclear weapons, they think it's comparable. Oh, it's not comparable at all. The weapons that were used in World War II, they're called gravity bombs. These are dropped by bombers, and it uses the kinetic force to initiate an impact. Modern nuclear weapons, airburst, ICBMs, they are rockets. There's, I believe, still currently tens of thousands. Nuclear proliferation was underway for some time. And now it seems to be inverted. Now, when a nuke fires at a target, it does not hit the ground. It explodes in the air to maximize. Let me see if I can pull up nuke map for you guys, which I think nuke map. We're going to pull up nuke map here. We're loading, and we got it right now. So we are going to select Washington, D.C., and the yield. Let's take a look at the yield for the RS-26. They say it's 150 to 300. So let's just roll with it. And let's choose a yield of 300 kilotons. 300 kilotons. Detonate. Jeez. Really? Take a look at that. Wow. If a 300 kiloton surface burst, let's do, it looks like these may have been surface detonations. So I wonder if we can set it to surface. I thought you could. Maybe you can't. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, it is surface burst. Holy crap. Is that right? Now, I don't think that what we saw with these ICBMs was carrying 150 to 300 kiloton detonations. Let's go low range and say 150. And if a 150 kiloton bomb, that's crazy, was struck the surface of DC, the entirety of Washington, D.C. is gone. Okay, to be fair, it's not the entirety, but you can see here, Silver Spring is the northern tip, Bethesda, College Park. This diamond shape up top, this is D.C., and you can see that the overwhelming majority is gone. I think if we do 300, it just wipes the whole thing out. Almost. That's what they're claiming this RS-26 is capable of doing. I don't believe that it did. Hopefully it doesn't. Let's take a look at, we're going to choose the Fat Man. Fat Man was a 20 kiloton bomb. This is what happened with Nagasaki. The Fat Man bomb would destroy most of Washington, D.C. were it to strike. But the city proper, the surrounding areas, Brightwood, University Heights, mostly fine. And then you have Little Boy, which was Hiroshima, even smaller. So understand, this was World War II and the yield of bombs at that time. Let's take a look at North Korean's weapon test in 2006 was a 500-ton bomb. They currently have a 10 kiloton tested in 2013. You can see that's comparable to Little Boy. Let's try something else. Oh, it looks like North Korea tested a 150 kiloton bomb, so we know what that does. Davy Crockett, a 20-ton bomb. Very small, but very radioactive. I want to take a look at Russian capabilities and see what they have. Let's see if we can, this is the, oh my God. The R-12 SS-4 Soviet missile, which we saw in the Cuban Missile Crisis. If that were to detonate over D.C., it would cause shockwave damage up to Rockville, near Gaithersburg. Bethesda, College Park, Alexandria is in the thermal radiation third-degree burn zone. And that's the Cuban Missile Crisis. We're going back a long time here. And then you have Dongfang 4, China's first deployed ICBM, a 3.3 megaton. You've got 1961, a 4 megaton. Dongfang 5, China's current ICBM. This is crazy stuff. I don't see DC as being a possible target, to be honest. And so what we want to do is we want to add radioactive fallout to to this, and we can add casualties. So now we can get the estimated number of fatalities. I guess it's not working. Let's go nuts with it. I don't think that the first H-bomb, IV Mike. Now, the issue with gravity bombs is that you have to get a bomber over target. Those are extremely hard to do, which is why ICBMs tend to be the effective delivery method for a nuclear weapon. Tsar-Bomba, the largest bomb ever designed, 100 megatons. It's a gravity bomb, so it's likely not going to be ever used. And they only ever tested it at 50 megatons. I mean, this wipes out nearly the entirety of Maryland. And no joke. If Tsar-Bomba, a 100 megaton bomb, were to be dropped, it would wipe out the majority of Maryland. Maybe more, like slightly more than half of its surface area. Very, very unlikely, okay? So, I don't know. I think understanding the context in the power of nuclear weapons is important, considering we've seen the launch of an ICBM. It's crazy stuff. Doesn't appear to be carrying any large yield weapons. But now you got the opinion from the Hill. World War III is now Trump's to lose. All right, my friends. Do what you think is necessary. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe just, we're scared for no reason. I don't know. Hopefully that's not just optimism bias or normalcy bias. Hopefully this doesn't escalate any further. But this is wild. Last night, I think I have the tweet pulled up. Air raid sirens all over Ukraine with reports of a ballistic missile threat. And then it happened, striking Dnipro. Stay tuned. We'll have more developments coming up throughout the day. Next segment will be at noon. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Become a member at timcast.com. to support our work. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next segment.